All right, everybody, welcome to Mansfield Buzz. Hurdy and your other host, Jordan, sitting right there next to me, not literally, but virtually. And we wanted to let you guys know, first of all, we're on YouTube Live. Let me go down here to my banners. I'm multitasking on the deal here. If you happen to be joining us today, there's our YouTube channel at Mansfield TX Buzz. And we are in our Jordan ninth week, including our first intro video. So really, we've covered 8 businesses, and I thought it might be a good idea, and I think you agreed that we kind of go back and talk into. Oh, thank you for blowing up the screen there, buddy. I appreciate that. By the way, Jordan has some control of the studio, and so it's kind of cool. He can do that for us. So which one did you pick? Okay, you picked that one. Cool. All right. So we thought we'd go back and maybe talk a little bit about where we're going with it, some questions people have asked me personally since we've started this, and I thought would address those. And what's the best way, Jordan, to give out people information, answer the questions they're looking for, right? So
Yep.
welcome, Jordan. Say hi.
Hello.
No, come on, man.
Well, you said say hi, so I did.
Oh yeah, you did. Literally.
Now, well, welcome to the show. We're here to have fun, enjoy our time together, just have some interesting chats. People want to know about you and your business and what are the drivers behind, you and what you're doing. And this is a great way to just have an easy conversation, have fun, and let you be the center of attention. Because as Herdy mentioned, we can play around with this, so we can just make you.
I don't. I don't really want to be front and center, but that's fine. If you want to throw that up, that's great. Yeah.
I'll
So
I'll share the
the
spotlight.
the beauty of making somebody a kind of a admin on StreamYard is they get to be able to help with the tools. So one person's not tasking the whole show like on a mixer board or something. We have the same thing, but over on the right, we've got it all in templates over here on the right side studio. So that was one of the first questions, Jordan, I got is, and we can go into some detail on this because I think a lot of people do not understand live streaming, right? And the bugaboos that go with it, especially the way we're doing it. So let's put that question up. Uh, how does live stream work? You want to throw your 2 cents at that first?
Yeah, I'll start because you're definitely the authority on this subject. Because you've been, I mean, you've known it from its initial inceptions. But really, what we're doing is just we are using Streamyard as a intermediary that takes our signals and then just kind of collects it and then will broadcast it. In this case, to YouTube, and I think we got Facebook working again, right?
Yeah, I got it set up. Yeah.
Cool. So it's streaming or signal out to YouTube and Facebook, and that way you can see us live. We can have a chat, and I mean, and honestly, it's pretty impressive. I mean, I want to say there's like a 3 second delay from what we're saying to like what people are seeing on the live.
Probably. It could be even 6. I don't know what the lag is, but there is a bump there. Used to be in radio days, we had 10-second delay, so we could hit a mute button in case somebody said something we didn't want in the air, right? So, but there's just a natural delay on the internet, correct?
Yeah, but yeah, that's essentially how it works. I don't know if you want to go into a little bit more detail about it, Herdy. I know you've been streaming for many years now.
Yeah, so let's go back to the difference, and that reminds me of some people I kind of want to bring up in this area because I want to brag on them a little bit. There are people that are located in Mansfield that have been doing this also, and let's bring up Steve's organization. Love him, podcastmansfield.com. He's been around a lot of years. He's got a radio background. He does great production work. He has in-house studio. He has mixing boards. He has podcast capability, and he can run ads. And he covers Mansfield area. Not what we're doing. Okay, but I would be the first to tell you if you have an audio book, if you want to create some advertising with him to get in yourself in the community, you want to go over and even do a show or do something in production with him. I literally would go over and talk to, and then we'll explain the difference between what we're doing. Okay. So definitely go check out his website, podcastmansfield.com, and take a look around and give him a holler because he does post production, pre production, all that stuff. And he has the studio. Okay. And I'll tell you how we're different in a minute. The other person that's in our neighborhood now is Bryce George with Easy as Pie, which is a very unique name. She's in downtown Mansfield. And if you walk into their building, they have a full production room, right? I call it, it reminds me of my days in Deep Ellum when we had our big studio in an old brick building in downtown, and we had the post and the concrete post, and we had studios set up with green rooms and back then SD cameras. So, but the bottom line was, yeah. So when we were streaming back in 2001, we were able to put up curved backboards, and we did some live broadcasts with some of the congressmen, Ralph Paul, Pete Sessions, stuff like that, in the Dallas area. The cool thing is she's getting ready to launch a live show that's going to be a big production, and I think it's going to launch in June. But she also does video production work where she can run intros, insert ads, things of this nature. So she's full-fledged production. It's got all the equipment, everything. Again, not what we do. Okay. So now that I've clarified the differences and bragged on them a little bit, because they have some things that are up here and we're kind of down here, but there's a reason we're down here. Number one, let's go back to us now. That be Mansfield Buzz. We're trying to cater this to YouTube, and we're also trying to cater this to a real small, medium business that doesn't have the affordability to go out and spend big production dollars for a long podcast, or we're giving them a voice. And so what we do is we allow them to give us 10 questions that they want us to ask, and then we put them into this live studio. So how does that stream work? Well, sometimes it doesn't. And that's just being upfront. So let's talk about that. So Jordan's in his house. I'm at my house. I have a router that's the modem, and I'm going to try to make this non-technical. And I have Wi-Fi. But I know Wi-Fi sometimes, with all the other devices I have running in the house, sometimes gets really tied up, right? So you got all this data trying to go through this little pipe, and it goes, you know what? I can't handle this. Okay, so it stops, or it slows down, or it buffers. If you have a modem at your house, and I always send these instructions out prior to us being live. If you have a slot on that modem for a CAD 5 or a CAD 6 cable, you plug it into that router, and you literally go buy a 50-foot cord. And wherever your laptop is, if you don't have a CAD 5 connection, you go buy a USB to a CAD 5 or CAD 6 adapter, and then it changes your bandwidth to 100 megabits, okay? Which basically means your pipe got this big.
That's a good analogy.
It's pretty good. So Wi-Fi would be like this size, right? And then this side. Now, my bandwidth here has no effect on the client that's on with us live from their house. It depends on their bandwidth, right? A lot of people today also have VPNs, and VPNs literally change somebody's IP address to mask them, goes out to a server somewhere in the United States, Dallas, Kansas City, wherever you want to look like you're at. And it sometimes makes the connection faster, but sometimes it makes the connection really slow. Okay, so even yours truly sometimes forgets to turn his VPN off, even though I'm running my CAD 5. So, if you have a VPN, it's best to turn that off before you go live stream. And another thing you should do is you should go in, if you have a cleaning tool, like AVG has one called TuneUp. There's several out there. Clean your cache out of your browser. Clean the cache out. You have temporary files that literally sit on your sit on your computer and they tie up your present memory. And that memory is, or we call it RAM, operates between the processor and getting that information in front of you like we're talking right now. If it's tied up and it's full, it can't handle the pressure of video coming through that same scenario. All right. So enough of that. So that's technical.
Well, hang on, because I have the Apple version of that piece of advice. If you have an Apple,
Yes.
you turn it off, right? You go into the little Apple symbol and you hit restart. Your computer's going to turn off. It's going to come back on. It's going to make that little sound. Bum. And it's going to show you the Apple symbol. At that moment, you press Option Command PR. And PR stands for processing RAM. And that will wipe all your processing RAM, and it will boot up the sequence again. So then you'll hear your computer go again, bum, and then you'll see the Apple symbol again, and then your computer will turn on. And now all your processing RAM is cleared. So that's how you do it on a Mac.
Can you, before I put this up after it's over on YouTube, can you send me that tutorial?
Yeah.
Or just put it in chat.
I will ask for AI enabled StreamYard
Perfect.
tool to cut that out for us.
Perfect. And so there you go. So what do we capture? And now StreamYard, because I'm on the paid version, literally I could take 10 people on this, right? Like you see Jordan and I, 10 of us could be on. We could set up the screen to handle that 10 people. So in a sense, it'd look a lot like Zoom, right? Except the difference is it's also going out to YouTube, to Facebook, and a third destination if we want, all live. So what do we capture? Well, we capture everything you see in front of you. So you see the banner I just put up, the question, or Jordan just put up. These questions stay as part of the broadcast because they're preset in what we call banners on our back end side. And so our clients' questions look just like this. So when the person comes on the podcast, the small business comes on, and they send me the pre-questions the Monday before they come on, which is a requirement. I then go into the studio and add these questions so that they're in order, that we can flip between them during the actual broadcast. Okay. And so, yeah. So I will tell you that we've had some buffering because that is the world of live streaming. When you get into these virtual environments where we're not sitting with a mixer board with high bandwidth in a solid location, and we know that. Okay, so we realize that that's part of the gig. Okay, all right.
If you don't want that to happen and you want premium quality sound, I recommend you go to Podcast Mansfield or to Easy as Pie.
Yeah, and it's not because we're not good at what we do. It's because we're doing it totally different, and we're asking people not to leave their house to come on to this, because we're not charging enough for us to set up a big freaking studio, and we're not at the sponsorship level yet because I want to build the traffic. So the bottom line is we do charge. We charge $50 to $100, and Jordan and I can talk about that more, but I want to keep it at a level where we do keep businesses coming. We've got our guest next week, and I'm getting ready to fill up June here. Jordan doesn't know that yet, but I've been working on a couple of people that want to come on in June. And today I want to take a break for us to talk about what we do. So we charge $50 to $100. Right now we're at 50. I think it's going to change to 100 soon, if it's not already. Jordan and I are coordinating on how to do the calendar thing to make sure I can see and don't double book somebody. So there's some logistic things we've got to do on our end. But at the same time, this is the purpose of this. A lot of people ask me, Jordan, they go, Hurdy, why do you do this? Well, I've been doing broadcast podcasts since 2001. Once this stuff gets in your blood and you do streaming and you've had fun with it, I had a sports broadcast network for years. I mean, you literally do it for fun. I love doing this. And so if I get lucky enough to have one of our small businesses come on that, need a voice and they want to have a copy of this and they want to share it to their friends and to their network, because basically they're getting their top 10 questions asked that people are looking for information on anyhow. So it's a nice marriage. It's not perfect, but it's a good marriage. Also, any thoughts on that, Jordan? Because
Oh yeah, I mean it's about having a conversation. A big part of this too is, and I mean not everybody will know this, but the people that go to the Mansfield networking event, Dirty Jobs Brewing, right? Like we have 30 seconds to stand up and sort of give our elevator pitch, which is very hard to do, and you can't
yeah,
pack everything you do into 30 seconds.
no.
You know, you can pack in the most important part about what you offer and what makes you different. You can do that in 30 seconds easily. But to give background as to why you're doing the things you're doing, to go in depth into like services, offerings, all that takes a little bit more time. So this is really designed for you to be able to come here and talk without being so rushed about what makes you different, what is unique about your business, and things that you would like to spend a little bit of time talking about.
Yeah, and I would say this is story time. This is more in depth. Personally, this is asking what band you like, your favorite colors, what restaurant you like to go to, along with their business questions. So these icebreaker things, and also for those people that are really uncomfortable, on camera, uh, we do a 30-minute prep before we go live where they're actually on camera with us. We're going through the questions and we're loosening them up for 30 minutes. So when the lights come on, they're not deer in headlights, which, Jordan, I've told people this a long time ago that when I did the survey about for small business for doing video on YouTube, the thing that held back most clients was camera fear. Budget was important, but it wasn't up there at the top. It wasn't that they didn't have the skills. It wasn't they didn't know how to edit. It was, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to be on camera. So our 30-minute prep before we go on, we invite them on 30 minutes before the show. They get comfortable seeing the format. We go through the questions, and by the time we start, they've already been involved with us. So kind of a little trick of the trade, right? And it's not really a trick. It just helps get them acclimated to be to how it's going to work, right? And
Yes.
plus, they can't see their audience, which that's a good thing. so,
That makes it easier. But it's true, right? Like I run into the same issue too when I'm working with clients and social media, right? Like business owners should speak on camera, should be the voice for the business, particularly if you're a small business. But the fear of being on camera is, I mean, it's hard. Like I've gone through it, and you feel awkward and you get sweaty and your tongue gets tied and you just get way too into your head. So this is also a great way for you to just get some reps being in front of a camera, speaking to an audience. And the next thing about it is like you're talking to me and Herdy. If we're doing a job correctly, you forget that you're on a live podcast and you're just having a coffee table conversation.
yep, yep, and I think that's what we offer. That's a little different from a big high end production, right? Is it's not timed into breaks at the 15, at the 30. We're just having a conversation. We're not in any hurry. We're not in any rush. And it's not set up as a produced, well, it's got order, but it's not, we don't sit around for 2 days and do post production, okay, and pre production. It's, we just get on and go. And by the way, so how do we ask business questions? Okay, so one thing I've learned is through the years is it's really good if those businesses supply us with the questions they would like asked because they know their business better than we do, right, Jordan?
Yes, definitely. So we ask you to submit the questions you want to be asked because that way you're not surprised. And actually, a lot of our, not everybody, but a lot of the people that come on the podcast have supplied us with both the questions and the answers, which is interesting, but it's great, right? So you're coming into the show like completely armed with your information. You're not going to be caught off guard. And that way the conversation goes a lot more fluidly, particularly if you get nervous in front of a camera. It is awesome to already have those because then you're never stumped. You're always just ready for the questions. You have something to talk about. You're not going to be in what do we say, right? Like deer in the headlights, just frozen.
Right. Right. And so the way I've had some of the folks that have been on already have in fact sent us the questions and had those questions scripted out. So when we got on, they could read off some of the answers to that, which is if that's what they want to do, that's fine. That's the other beauty of this. It doesn't, I'm going to say this and I'm going to say it carefully. It doesn't look like a commercial. Um, the one thing about YouTube is that attracts so many people is even though there are commercials, right? You can skip out or buy the program where you can skip all commercials if you want for the red program. But the bottom line is people like the authentic, genuine people. And when they meet these businesses, they're just getting to really know the person, talking in their own language about their own business, answering their own questions, which is one of the draws to why I like to do this. I learned so much about the 9 people been on or the 8 people been on. Man, I've learned so much about their business and now we're friends. Now I can sit around and have coffee with them, talk with them. If they need help with something, I already kind of got an idea what they're doing. So in a sense, it kind of brings some closeness to those businesses. And so somebody says, well, what's your reason for doing this? And Jordan probably agrees. Well, number one, it keeps me in touch with the community, right? Keeps me in touch with a potential client, right? But it also builds friendships and relationships, which are ongoing. And these same people that have been on with us are always constantly coming up saying hi, talking to us, fine and just having a good time. So that's the other reason to do this.
And you love technology. So any new tool that comes around, you want to play with it.
You say that. I guess, one thing, Jordan, I guess I didn't realize it till you said it one day was, I guess I do so much research on stuff and trying to apply tools that I don't realize how much I do it. It takes somebody like you to say, God, Herdy reads everything, right? So, and I didn't realize that one day till you said that on air. You said, Herdy read that. He already knows that, right? So, yeah, thank you for that. But you know what? That's how we learn.
Oh yeah.
See, I think a lot of people need to take more time, and instead of just asking everybody how to do something, I say dive in and keep going through it to figure it out. Go slow, take notes, keep a journal, write stuff out. I keep a notebook, a personal hand. I'll show it. Personal hand. This is my separate one right here. I carry this. And anytime I get a question I can't answer, I write it in here. And then I go back to Google Drive and I look it up and research it and I document it. And I keep it in a folder for so if somebody asks me that same question, like if their Google business gets suspended and I figured out something on a previous account and this may apply to this account, I've got notes. I can go back and say, okay, this, okay, that checks. So there you go. So sorry about that. I didn't mean to ad lib, but yeah.
Well, what about speaking of tools? Then what about the tools we have access with StreamYard?
Well, I think you should jump into some of that, and I'll share some of my thoughts. But
the one that blew me away is the fact that we can split the recordings into individual video and talk tracks. And what I mean by that is, right now what's being broadcasted is this window that you see right now. I can play with it. Make Herdy big, right? We can switch sides. That could be the main one. And
I like that.
we have people come in the show, right? We can move things around, and all of this is being streamed and recorded. However, we have the option and the ability to split all the recordings into just the individual ones. So right now my computer is streaming and uploading what I'm saying and what my camera is capturing independently to what is shown in the show. So is Herdy's. And when somebody comes on the show, the guest, like theirs is also uploaded. So we have the ability to have the main show that is being broadcasted, but we also have the individual pullouts. So if you have, a section where you explain your business and, just after you do, it's like, man, that was a good one. Like we could totally take that out, take your video alone with just your talk track, and then that could be pulled aside. And that's phenomenal because I don't know what other system does that. Like, for example, when you use Zoom and you do a Zoom broadcast or any kind of like Zoom functionality, Zoom will upload whatever was on the screen and that gets recorded, right? Like StreamYard is a step below or a step deeper, and it will separate all the recordings, which is incredible because that way the guests can take their only just their face, just their talk track, and then turn that into whatever they want. No need for us to be in that section of the show, or if we accidentally, like my dogs bark a lot and my dogs are barking in the show, we can still select the guest talk track and their track will be clean because that's not coming through their microphone.
Good explanation. And I like that. And something to add to that is I discovered today that StreamYard will allow me to go in and choose the vertical and then allow me go to the video and pull a 60-second segment out, and then it'll allow me to choose the destination just like it does for this live stream to share it to.
Ooh.
So once we create the verticals shorts from the people been on the show, and by the way, let me throw this in. We've only done 8 shows. We're still running behind on that because we're learning these tools. Okay, it's not like we're doing it on purpose because AI is generating some of its own 60 seconds too. But there might be 60 seconds we want to pull out. Then all I have to do is go back up, click a destination, and send it to YouTube Shorts or over to Facebook Reels instantly. So that's really cool. The other thing is, Jordan, you may not be aware of this, is that there's another open source studio called OBS Studio, which if you're on YouTube and you see some storm chasers with multiple chasers out in the field, and there are multiple these big old monitors around them, they're using OBS Studio and with the switcher board.
I'll give the Gen Z analogy. When you see gamers on Twitch,
yes,
you see the screen of what they're playing, but then you can also see them on the side as they're talking to the camera. That is also OBS Studio.
And guess what? It can be incorporated inside StreamYard. There is a way to open StreamYard in OBS. And I hadn't even told you this, okay? I've known this for a while, but it's not necessary for what we're doing right now, right? So if you were out remote broadcasting somewhere and wanted to bring in that piece, then yeah, you could definitely be, if you were out on the street in Mansfield doing interviews, you could bring that in through OBS Studio through the link. It's really cool. The other thing is, Jordan probably doesn't know this, is we could actually set up where I could receive phone calls in to the live stream. We like to use chat on YouTube, but some people still like to pick up the phone and dial in, and so we could do that. I'm not sure I want to add that yet because it just makes life really difficult, but the fact that tool's there is really cool. So now, any other thoughts on that? Besides, that's cool. I think I sent you that link today to your email for you to take a look at and tell me what you think, but it's really cool. Really cool. It's really cool. All right. So here's a question. Could we do this?
Big answer is yes.
Yes, we could. So what are you talking about, Herdy and Jordan? Well, all right. So a lot of people, when you have a YouTube video up, when this is over and it's archived, it's on YouTube. I always get a full copy of this, just like you're seeing it right now, as Jordan stated earlier, on StreamYard. So I get this full video. The audio tracks I would keep separate because we can divide those up for cool questions and pieces of content to share as trailers. We can put them up on YouTube as shorts and link them back to this main long video on the channel itself. But where was I going?
Can we do this?
Oh yeah, can we do this? Okay, sorry about that. Lost my train of thought there. That never happens, by the way. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, so let's say I take the video on my hard drive. I download it from StreamYard's library. I put it on my hard drive. I deliver it over to my audio converter. and I strip the audio out by converting it to an MP3, which is universal audio language, right? And then I go over to a podcast host, Anchor, which is Spotify, right? Free. I go set up a podcast. I title the podcast Mansfield Buzz. We build the buzz about Mansfield business, right? I put a description of what the podcast is about. I add a 14 by 1400 graphic banner because that's the size that iTunes accepts, right? I build that. I put the first episode up. I get an RSS feed, which is called a real simple syndication, right? It's a feed that I can shoot out to all other podcast platforms, Google, iTunes directory, Sound, Soundboard, Podcast Bean, you name it, Twitch, all those, right? And literally, once they approve it, that Anchor becomes the main source for the stream. But then anybody searching for Mansfield Buzz on Apple, Google Podcast, SoundCard, Podcast Being, wherever, can also watch this. So why haven't we done this? Because I want to build the YouTube traffic and I want to build the subscribers. And then once we get to a certain point, then that becomes a valuable thing to do. But if you start dividing your kingdom early, although it's cool and it's sizzle and it would probably help, right now it's not necessary. 5 months from now, when we get past 100 subscribers, get maybe to 20, 30 watch time hours, then that we can consider that. So Jordan, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yep. There's your big answer from Jordan. Yep. So Jordan, why do you? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, so if people want to come on the show, how do they do that?
Yeah. Well, you're sitting right there. So you have a calendar link. It's on the Mansfield. If you go to Mansfield Buzz on Facebook and join the group, right? There is a link on there that you can click, pick a calendar date, sign up, pay to, we make you pay, and then we give you instructions. Then I personally, once I see that, I send no more detailed instructions out about when I need your questions, the format for the show, so there's no stone left unturned. You'll know exactly what to do the day of the week before the podcast, right? And then after it's over, we give you the fee, give you the link to the YouTube live. And as we learn the tools for setting up the shorts and getting those back out to you folks, we'll be able to get you some stuff, or we could just share the library back to you and say, do whatever you want with the audio portion, and that's where you might consider going over to here. Because if you take your audio portion over to Steve at podcastmansfield.com, he has the ability to do the editing, and dividing that up into your questions or however you want that. And you might even become an advertiser with him on part of his platform. So, you got a bunch of people in this world around here that can all help you get your business out. So why do we do this?
Why do we do this? To help the small businesses have a voice in the interwebs, whether it's YouTube or Facebook. And if you take your stuff and put it on Instagram, then I guess that too.
Yeah, and by the way, there is a way to link to Instagram, just so you know. But I don't know if we're allowed to do that anymore. A lot of people don't realize that Facebook made a pretty big decision about a couple months ago, and they implemented it at the beginning of last month, I think it was. They no longer were allowing third-party applications, some of them, a lot of them, to be used in coordination with groups, right? So in other words, if you had schedulers set up on third-party stuff and you were incorporating it into your Facebook page, it probably doesn't work. And you're probably stumped still to this day going, it worked last month. so we are lucky. We have a way of manually using the stream key to set up the stream live over to Facebook. Although I will tell you, StreamYard must have done something because I was able to choose it as a destination last week and it worked fine. So I'm happy about that.
Money.
Yeah, I'm sure. Pretty sure. So I do this, as I stated earlier, because I love doing it. It's fun. This is at a very simple level of this compared to what I've done in the past, right? With big studios and stuff. But I like the format. I like that I can make friends with these small businesses because that's the world I'm in. I don't deal in any world but small business. That was my hanging fruit when I started my business in 2008 because nobody paid attention to small business. They were left out and they had no idea what they were supposed to do online. And that's how I got my after corporate life self going was I picked that low hanging fruit and I've been in that side of the business forever. And streaming was part of my .com days. We were experimenting in Deep Ellum with audio and video to the last mile. I was in a tech background with MCI before that. So I've always been interested in data flow, especially online. So, and here we are in an age where Jordan and I are sitting here and this was all automated. We didn't have to do anything but click on the computer and log into our account and we're on live, which is pretty cool. That's it.
Incredible. It's incredible technology. I love the future. The future is fun.
I agree. I mean, you know, if we can get through all that stuff, if we can have AI help us out and figure out how this is all going to work and give us some clue how we're supposed to use it, then yes, it'll be a much better world for us. But these tools will keep getting automated even more, right? So if you guys hadn't had a chance, let me put this back up. I know we went down some dirt roads today, but we thought it was a good time to catch everybody up on what we do. If you don't mind, a lot of people won't be on live. They'll go back and listen to the archive as we share the links out. When you go to the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe, hit the like buttons underneath these, that thumb up button underneath it, right? And help us out with Google's algorithm. We're not in any rush, although I would like to see us get to 100 subscribers in the next 2 to 3 months, right? And one thing we want your businesses to know, when you come on and we give you a link, share it and ask people to come subscribe to it, because the more you're sharing that, the more you're going to get yourself in the mix too. So good thing. Any final thoughts, my friend?
No, that's about it. And I'm just looking forward to the next show, and I hope we get some fun guests. So far, we've had an awesome lineup, and I can't wait to see who else comes and get to know them a little bit better and give them a platform.
Yeah, so you know what I'm going to do. I can't help it. So, you know, we go out with the music.
I like how you can tell who picked the intro song and who picked the outro song.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, well, it doesn't match. That's right. That's another reason we love the bit not be in post-production all the time, right? So no. Anyhow, guys, thank you. We are on. We do have a guest next week. We're live 2 o'clock every Thursday. We'll see you next week on Mansfield Buzz. Jordan, thank you. Everybody have a great day. All right.